Okay, we have several escapes for getting out from bad spots. The first one we're gonna work on is if somebody is mounted and they're on top, what we're gonna do is this. We're just working on getting into a half guard to start. So in this position, if Mrs. Lucas has mount, I want my elbows close, protecting the rib cage. I want my hands in. The only time I'm reaching is for specific grips. From here, my goal is to get to my side. Now what I'm gonna do is this. As I'm here, I'm gonna lift and create enough space under the hips that I can drop. When I drop, this lower leg goes all the way straight. I'm trying to drop it flat to the ground so that it's between her feet. At this point, my top leg comes over the top and I'm trying to use my heel to hook right by her ankle. If I can bring her ankle up over my foot to here, this is quarter guard. Quarter guard, I just have her trapped by the ankle area. At that point, I'm either gonna use my elbow, which is preferable. If they're lower on your body, you'd use your palm. If they're down here, I'm gonna use my elbow to hold her in place, and I'm gonna try to get my lower leg to slide all the way up past her kneecap. However, if she's trying to push back and she has some weight on this knee, I'm gonna have a hard time getting that leg through. There are two ways we can make this leg slide through. One of them is to try to push her this way. If I push pressure on this side, it will loosen this leg, make it lighter, and then I can try to get my knee above her kneecap. The other version is the classic seesaw. I lower this knee down closer to the ankle. This knee goes, the low leg goes as high as it can, and then you just apply pressure like this, trying to lift the knee some. This only works but so much, but it does make it a little lighter. You drive the elbow in again, and then as soon as you have the elbow in place, you just do a knee elbow block. Slide this knee all the way up till it's there. Once you're in position, I'm gonna try to turn my back flat to the ground again. I'm turned away here, which isn't really helpful for me. So I'm gonna try to turn this direction using this arm. If this arm comes across my face, I'm gonna try to get under hooks if I can to try to rotate to the side. That's all you need for this first portion. There's some escapes we'll do later. Just remember though, when we were here, it was you lift to create that space, you drop this leg flat, right between their legs, and you drop to the side. Top leg comes over, try to catch them by the ankle, get their ankle across over your leg, and at that point you either use the classic seesaw position to lift their knee higher, or you can shove them some, use your elbow, block their knee, slide your knee above their knee, and then try to get flat to your back again. This leg going high makes it much harder or impossible for them to get their leg back through again. If I'm still here, she could pick her knee back up and get right back into position. Getting here, getting this leg high, up past their knee position makes it so they can't get past. The second version is us escaping from under side control. Now on the side control one, I have no idea which way to face. I guess this way. Let's try this way. So for the side control, the first thing I need to do is not let her get her hook around my neck, which I already missed the window, doggone it. So I'm gonna take my arm and put my arm against the side of the neck using the elbow to frame. The other arm is gonna frame, trying to block where the hips are. If I don't block the hips, when I try to move, she just moves with me. At that point, I'm gonna try to create space. I'm gonna try to work on getting that same half guard we had a second ago. Now I'm gonna rotate this just a little bit this way. Thank you. So what happens is I lift the hips to create that same gap like before. As I do that, same concept before, I'm gonna drop this leg and I'm gonna try to push, like in the elbow block, to push my knee in the gap that's right down by the hip. At that point, if you're able to, your leg that's underneath, you could try to push it and get your knee high. If you get it past the hip, you have a good chance of getting all the way into closed guard. If I don't get that though, say I'm here, I got my knee just under the first leg. At that point, if she's blocking the other hip, I'm not gonna get it in. I'll take this foot, just like we've done in the last drill. I'll try to catch her around the leg, and I'll try to work until I can get my leg through, and then again, I've got my half guard position to let me start working to get out. So that's two different ways that you can get into your half guard. One is if you're mounted, one is if it's side control, and then the last thing we have is escaping closed guard. So if Mrs. Lucas has a closed guard on me, we've worked a couple of these recently, but the main one we're working on to start. Step number one with closed guard, if their ankles are crossed, is you try to get your posture up like this. Ideally, if you can make it so that their hips aren't touching the ground, they lose a ton of their pressure. If her hips are touching the ground and she pulls with her legs, it's gonna be really hard for me not to have to post. So instead, if I'm here and I can lean back just a little, hips are off the ground, I can brace, I can hold myself so much easier. So in this position, what I'm gonna do is this. One hand is going to try to grip, you're gonna grab just right here around the jack, you get your grip. Elbow stays in, don't let your arm be floating out at all like that, keep your elbow in tight, and you're using this to apply pressure. From here, I need to take one foot and stand up. However, if I step forward, my foot is now Mrs. Lucas to break off and do whatever she wants with it. So you can't step up unless you get control of this wrist here or the sleeve. You need something to stop it from grabbing, or you can step back. Either way, to make this work, I need to have one leg center line. So I'm gonna go here and put one leg directly behind the center line. At that point, I'm keeping my balance, but you gotta watch out. This is where they might try to tip you and make you lose your balance. So I'm leaning in a little. My back leg does a back step. If I can turn my hips sideways to Mrs. Lucas here, makes it a ton easier for me to get in position, and it's already gonna start applying pressure on her feet. At this point, once you get sideways, you would either try to attack the foot that is underneath here. If I'm pushing down on this one, it doesn't help. I either push down on the foot that's behind, or I try to pull up on the foot that's on top to try to break the grip. Or I can also go from this position, I can start to work on standing up. I go here, I start to stand until it breaks the grip. If she holds on, let's go and grab one more time. If she holds on the entire time, so I'm here, center line, slide back, come up. If she hangs on as I go to stand here, as I go up, in this position, you can either start to bounce and that'll break their grip, or you can also back step and continue to attack their hand or attack their foot with your hand. That should be the three you guys need. All right, I'll see you guys in class. Good luck.